Okay, Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you're having a good evening. Well, I'm going to give you a demo on the first pathway so that you can understand how the AndroidSeekho program is going to work. The following pathways, the one after this first one, you will have to do yourselves. If you have any questions, you can ask in the WhatsApp group. The people who are going to be doing this with you will help you out, and I can also help you out if you have any issues. Uh, I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know when you can see it.
Yes, Sarah, you are audible.
It's showing.
Okay. Okay, so I believe Samia has introduced what the event is, what we're going to do, but going to show you how to register for it. I'm going to go through these one by one, so you don't have to look at these all at once, and don't be overwhelmed by it because this starts from the very basics. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to register for the event. This is the button that you should click on. I'm sorry I didn't tell that to you first. And if you have any issues understanding what I'm doing, please do ask them in the chat. Or yeah, just ask them in the chat. One of the facilitators will help you out, and I can also help you out when I check the chat. So this is what will pop up when you try to sign up for it. Since my email is already signed into my browser because I'm using Chrome, I don't have to do this first Google sign-in part. So you'll have to do that. So should I wait for you guys? Just let me know.
Yes, please.
Okay. Once you sign in, I'll do the second part, the one where you have to enter details. I'll do that with you guys. And please let me know if I'm talking too fast or if I'm going too fast.
Sure, we'll let you know.
So someone said in the chat that I'm going a little fast. Well, all we've done now is click on the register event. You guys do have the link, right? Or should I share it in the chat? I'll share it again if you guys don't have it.
Yep, that's fine.
So if you go to this link that I've shared, you'll go to that page that the one that's showing up on my screen, and click on that blue register button, and then you should be able to see this screen. The only thing you're going now is sign in into your Google account.
Yes, signed in.
Also, if you scroll up a little bit on the meeting chat, you can see that Azka has shared what are the hardware requirements for you to do this course. Have a look at those too.
Yep, already seen.
Has everyone signed in? Should I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm
Going
going to
to
assume that you're all.
details.
Sorry, yeah, we're going to do that now. So I'm going to assume all of you have signed in. Now, in the details section, you have to write in your first name. Please do this with me. Do not wait till the end. And your last name. This should be pretty easy. I mean, I'm pretty sure you all know what your name is. your gender, and whether you are a student or a professional, your university or your organization name, your city, and whether you're joining it through GDSC or without. So since I am part of the core team, I do count as a GDSC member, so I'm going to go with yes. You can do according to what you joined as. Uh, and then you have to accept further emails and then submit. Then you will get this. Then you'll get an email. So just tell me if you're here, like if you've entered the details. I'm going to wait 1 more minute and then I'm going to go to the next part. Okay, so is everyone ready? Okay, great. So now you should open your Gmail accounts because you're going to get an email. This is the email that you'll get, a registration confirmation to AndroidSeekho. And in this email, you'll have all of the details, like what the stages are, what the steps are. So even if you do not remember anything in the session today, it is here. We're just doing this so you can, uh, so it'll clear things up for you, but everything is here. So the first thing you see in stage one, are you all here with me? Like, have you opened up your emails? That's where you'll get all the other links.
So,
Yes, please.
yeah, so all of you can just write yes or give a sign on the meeting chat so we know that you guys are with us, okay? And if any one of you is stuck, the facilitator can help you.
Okay, so in this email, everything is written out clearly. In stage one, you can this Slack channel is just so you can communicate with other people who are doing this event too, this program too. Uh, it's not necessary. You can also ask any questions you may have in the WhatsApp group of GDSC because I'm sure a few other students at least will be doing that as well. Then these are some videos related to this event. These are also not necessary, but you can watch them if you're having any issues. Then in stage two, you have to make sure that you have a Google developer account. And if you do not, I'm going to make one right now. So all you have to do is click on this link and you'll be directed to this page. So the first thing to do is create a profile. Again, you'll have to fill all of this up. This is all personal info, so I'm not going to explain things a lot.
Sarah, I have a question.
Yes, do ask. You can write it down in the meeting chat. Okay, then you go to the next stage. Hold on, this is posing some issues. Let me clear this up. Okay, So if you're done with that, you'll get to step two, which is what you're interested in. All you have to do is like select things that you're interested in. So I'm just going to go with some random things because this is a dummy account, and then you have to confirm whether you want a newsletter subscription with GD. So that's it. Then you click on the finish button and you're set. The one thing that you do have to check, however, is whether your profile is public or private. A public profile is required for you to participate in AndroidSeekho. Right, sorry. So you'll have to go to my profile, and here this is your profile. So when you do this event, when you do AndroidSeekho, your badges will show up here in the All Badges section, and they will automatically just be added to your profile if you're signed in. And you can select a badge to be added into the favorites badge, which are the 5 badges that will show up when anyone chooses to view your profile. Now, as you can see, my profile is right now private. I will go to the settings button here, and I will change it to, sorry, here's what you will do, and I'll change it to public. Then I'll save it, and my account will then be public. So that's all you have to do here. The next thing you have to do, I'm not going to set up the entire profile. That is something that you can do on your own. If you have your profile set up, that's great. Just make sure it's public. The next thing you have to do is complete 5 units of the course. This is the course, hold on. All of these links are in your email, so I don't think that I have to share these in the chat. Okay, so this is stage 3 now, so you'll have to go to the Android Basics in Kotlin. Just click on that. This is the page you will then be taken to. Okay, so I'm going to
I guess there is some kind of connectivity issues on Sarah's side. Just wait for
Yep.
some second.
Sarah might be trying to get back.
She'll be back soon.
Okay, so where did I last leave off? Like, what's the last thing I told you guys? I had some issues and I left the meeting accidentally.
Step 3, miss.
Okay, so I was explaining to you stage three. In stage three, give me a second. Yeah. So in stage three, you have to go to this link, which is the Android Basics in Kotlin, and it will take you to this page. Then you sign in. Over here, you should have a sign in button. I've already signed in, and I'm not going to sign out and sign in again because that was making some issue with Meet. So please do sign in and use the same email that you used for your developer profile. Now this is the first unit. This is we're going to do the first pathway of the first unit. Please keep in mind that you have to complete 5 units, not the sixth one. Then you have to do 5 units by 31st October, and each unit has several pathways, a minimum of 2, maximum of 4 in each pathway, in each unit, sorry. Then you click on Explore, and this will take you to Unit 1. Now, here you can see what the 4 pathways are. We're going to do the first one now. The first pathway has, hold on a second. Yeah, right. So it has 4 steps, and then it has a quiz. So technically 5 steps. Uh, the first 2 steps are videos. And we're not going to watch them right now because they're just intros to what what this course is and what you're going to do. So basically, you're going to use Kotlin, which is a programming language to create Android apps. For now, in this first pathway, you won't need to download anything. You'll just be running the code in your browser. But in the second pathway, there is an entire tutorial on how to download Android Studio, which is the tool that you'll use to make Android apps. It's entirely explained, so we're not going to do that today again. So the first 2 I'm going to skip because they're just videos that give you an intro to what this course is, who the instructors are, and what the pace is going to be. Now, Kotlin is a programming language, as I said before. It is the successor to Java, so it's quite simple. And if you know Java, this should be very easy for you because I know a bit of Java and I found this pretty easy. So we're going to go to step 3 directly, which is making the first program in Kotlin. You're going to click this green button to take Code Lab. This should pop up. Now this is the lab that you're going to do. Are you guys with me? Just say yes or no in the meeting chat.
Yes, miss.
Okay, now this is, as you can see, there's a pop-up that showed up that says that I have earned the first Code Lab completed badge. This is showing up completed because I already did this a while ago, but you will get this badge when you complete this lab. So don't worry if you don't have this right now. Now this badge will be automatically added to your profile. This is the developer profile, and it should show up here. Right, so you can see that it was automatically added because I was signed into both this. Well, hold on. This, you know what I'm talking about, right? The page where the course was. I'm signed into both that site and the developer's account, so it was automatically added. Now, on the first time, in this first lab, we're going to see a very simple Kotlin program where we're going to see how it works. So you won't need anything in this lab or in the next lab. As I've said before, you'll need to download Android Studio in the second pathway. You learn how to make a basic Kotlin program in these 2 labs. And right now, all you need is internet access. So I'm going to click on next. You can read all of this if you want, but I'm not going to do it right now. You can read this later if you want. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, in step one, we're going to take this link and we're going to open sort of like a code editor, not exactly a code editor, just a playground for you to run your code on in the browser itself. So this should show up. I'm going to explain what all of this means in a second, so don't freak out if you don't know what it is. Now, this is what you should be seeing on your screens right now. Okay, so so what the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run this to see what it gives, right? So does anyone have any idea what this is going to do? If anyone has any idea what this is going to do, please speak up.
Print hello world.
And for those of us, in the meeting who don't know what print means, can you explain that?
It's simply going to display the text on a screen.
Yes, exactly. So it's going to display it on the screen. So if you click this green play button type thing in the corner, it will run this code and you'll get hello world on the screen. Okay, I'm going to go to step 3 of the lab now. Okay, so in this program, what is happening is fun is uh, the keyword for a function in Kotlin. Main is the identifier or the name of the function. These round brackets show that it is a function, and later we will pass arguments to it. If you don't know what arguments are, don't worry, I will explain it. These curly brackets show where the function starts and ends. Println is a command we use. It's again a built-in command that we use to print something on console or to show it on console, as someone said in the meeting. Everything in these quotation marks will be printed directly onto the screen. And this is the syntax. So if you don't know what a syntax is, it is sort of like grammar for a programming language, and you have to follow it exactly, or errors show up in your code and your program does not run how it should. Uh, Also, yeah, the main function is the first function that your computer will look for in any Kotlin code, in any program. So it is the entry point to a Kotlin program. So you should have a main function in every program that you write. Sort of like how we do in Java, but in Java we use classes and stuff. So if you're familiar with that, or C++, you should be able to get this. This is all the text that will explain to you what all the keywords are. I think I've explained all of it. You can read this later, but I'm not going to read all of it right now. You can extend your program by printing more than one message, and the way you can do that is you can use println, and again, write anything in the quotation marks, anything. So I'm going to write my name, and it prints it on the screen. So you can use this. Another now what println does is that it prints what is in those brackets and in the quotation marks, and then it takes your cursor to the next line and prints the next line and prints whatever the next text is in the next line. So as I've written hello world, it's in one line, and then I use println, so Sarah is printed in the next line. If I were to use print here, it would still be printed in the next line because I use println before it. So print and println are different. That's something you should know. Now, as I said, I've said what syntax is. So if you don't use correct syntax, for example, if you don't have quotation marks, you will get an error. So if you don't follow any of the syntax, you'll get an error. This is just an example. I'm skipping everything that's unnecessary because I've already explained it. So stop me if you have any questions. Now, all we've done in this lab is that I've shown you what the Kotlin playground is, which is just a place where you can run your code to check it in your browser right now. I've told you what the main function is. It's a necessary part of any Kotlin program. I've told you what all of the syntax is. I've told you println, how we use print and println, and what errors are going to do. This is all material that you can look at if you want to go into it deeper. Like vocabulary for Android basics in Kotlin is like it shows you like syntax and stuff. So you can look at this too if you want. This is stuff that you can practice on your own. This is the print command, which I've already explained. If anyone is not getting the difference between print and println, please tell me right now. Okay, I'm going to assume that you have understood the difference between print and println. Once you're done with all of that, your first lab is completed and you can just click on done. Once you click on done, you should get you have completed your first lab badge. Please tell me if you have.
Yes.
Okay, and has it been added to your developer profile?
Yep.
Okay, great. So that means you now know how you'll get your badges. I found this process pretty easy because the badges were being added pretty automatically. So yeah, now we're going to do the next lab. This is again, if you understood the first lab, this lab should be a piece of cake. So what we're going to do in this lab is we're going to create a birthday message. We're going to use println, and we're also going to use some other uh, loops and stuff too. So bear with me on this. Again, what you need is the Kotlin playground. I've opened that in a separate tab. I will assume that you know what the last lab was about. I assume that you understood it. This is just what you'll learn and what you will do in this lab, and I'm not going to go through it step by step. The second step of the lab itself is how to create a birthday message in Kotlin. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to open it through this link. And this is what is showing up on my screen now. In the Kotlin playground, these 3 lines are already written in. So in the function itself, hello world, the statement for printing hello world is written. What we're going to do is we're going to transform this into a birthday message. So all you have to do, we're not going to do anything complex right now. All I'm going to do is write happy birthday. And I'm going to go with my name. And I can also add an additional statement. And another one. You can add how many you want. Are you guys doing this with me?
Yep.
Yes,
I'm
we
only
are.
hearing one voice. I told you guys in the beginning that if I'm going too fast, you can stop me and you can slow me down if you want.
A bit fast.
Okay, I'll try to go a bit slow then. So we use 3 println statements. We did the last lab as well, and we printed the 3 statements on the screen. So you should be able to get it if you run the code. And you should be able to get whatever the 3 statements you write are. You can write whatever you want because it doesn't really matter what you write in the quotation marks, it will be printed exactly on the screen. Okay, so you should get it. Now we're going to add a birthday cake. So this is the cake that we're going to add. We're going to use like symbols from the keyboard. We're not going to add an image or anything right now because at this stage that will be complex. But I'm going to copy this from here Simply because if I start writing it all, if I start typing it all in, it will take time. I'm going to write an empty println statement, so it can give me one line space between the last statement that I printed, yay, and the next cake that I'm printing. Again, this isn't like anything complex. This is just the same println statement that we've been doing. Now, this statement at the one at the very last and this statement are different, but they do the same thing. All they do is they enter uh, an empty line into the code in the output. Sorry. So you'll do run and you'll get this cake. You can add whatever symbols you want. This is just a simple println statement. Now, once that is done, you should know what comments are. Comments are basically notes that you add in your program. So you use double slash and you can write whatever you want. Now these comments are helpful in any program because they show you what the program is doing. Usually comments are very helpful when you're collaborating with someone on the same project, or if you work on a project and then a while later you come back to it, you can understand what you did. Usually these comments are something related to the code. This is just something random that I've written, but you have to write something that is helpful, that shows you what's happening. So I can write I used println statement, which isn't very helpful, but we're doing a pretty basic program. So yeah, or I can write birthday message. Anything that is a comment, anything that is with these two slashes is not going to show up on your screen. It's not going to be shown. It will not show as output. It will not run as part of the program. It is just for you to look back on, and it's just sort of like it's just a note for you to look back on when you look at the program code.
I have a question.
Yes, please ask.
Can we comment with slash and static?
Yeah, you can do that. What you do is you do slash, you do a static, then another static, and then a slash, and whatever you write between those two statics is a comment. This type of comment is helpful because it extends to multiple lines. So I don't have to use this in the second line as well. Whatever I write here will also be a comment. There are several ways to comment lines. Uh, I mean, it's something that you look into when you're like really looking into a language. There are several ways to do it. So you don't have to stick to one. This double slash is helpful if you're just commenting one line. The one that I've shown next, the one with slash and static, is helpful when you're commenting multiple lines. It really just depends on what you're doing. And then you should have this. Okay, I've explained this, that prints an empty line. You can move stuff around, it'll print it in the order that you want. I'm going to go next now, and we're going to use variables now. So variables are basically, they're just spaces that you assign values to. They're just random words or letters or something that you assign a value to. We're going to look at what variables are here. So in this birthday code, instead of writing my age down here, what I can do is I can create a variable. I've created a variable with the name of age. I've given it the value 18, and the keyword that I've used to create the variable is val. Now, there's another keyword to create variables, var var. The difference is when you create a variable using val, the one with the L, you cannot change the value of the variable later on in the program. However, with var, the one with the R, you can change the value of the variable. So you'll create a variable, and then you should be able to use it in the program println statement. What you can do is instead of this, you use you use this $sign type thing, I guess, and you use curly brackets. And then you write down the variable name within those curly brackets. So if so now I'm going to run the program and we're going to see whether this is any different from what I was doing before, where I was just printing 18. And as you can see, it's the same thing because I've used this variable. Now, variables are helpful to use in print commands like this if you're using it multiple times throughout the program. So if I was going to say that 18 is a fun age, then instead of writing 18 twice, all I have to do is enter the variable. Because I'm just using two print statements here, it seems as though it would not be helpful because I'm doing double the work. But once you're doing multiple, like once you're using the variable in multiple places, this is pretty helpful. So you can see it was printed as it should have been. The next thing you can also do is you can use arithmetic operators, or you can do like simple operations within the variable itself. So if I could do 18 into 365 to signify the number of days, and I could do you are now age days old, and dash is fun age. Again, I'm not going to change that right now. And once you run that, instead of showing 18 as it was doing before, what it does is it first evaluates this expression. It first does 18 into 365, and then it assigns that value to age. It assigns the product of 18 and 365 to age, and then that is printed onto the screen, which is 6570.
A question.
Yes, please ask.
The variable we create named age. Can we use a semicolon at the end of that variable?
Sorry, can you type your question down in the chat? There's some distortion.
मुझे ये रहा था कि हमने जो वेरिएबल बनाया है उसके एंड पे हम सेमीकोलन यूज कर सकते हैं.
Why do you want to use semicolon?
In different programs हम पढ़ते हैं तो इसकी वजह से I used it and there is no effect on result.
Okay, so a semicolon is used, it's part of syntax of programming languages, and in some programming languages, whether you use a semicolon or not is entirely up to you. So here it will not pose an issue if you use semicolon. Like if I do this is what you're talking about, right?
Yep.
See, it's not making an issue. Okay.
Yes.
So this is just syntax of the programming language itself, and some programming languages require that you use semicolon, and some do not require that. So in some you can either use it or not. It's entirely up to you. So you can do this. You can evaluate certain expressions and then assign the answer of that expression to your variable. And next, what you can also do is you can assign strings or like a sentence or a word to a variable, and all you have to do when you do that is I'm going to make a new variable and I'm going to call it name, and I'm going to give it my name. Now, when you assign a word or a sentence or a string to a variable, you have to use double quotes, and within those double quotes you will write whatever it is that you want to write. So if I write just my name Sarah and then I use it here, it should work. So you can see the output here. what I will, again, you can write multiple, a whole sentence in this double quotes, and it should not be a problem. It will be used exactly that way. So you can write an entire sentence here too. And this entire sentence will be stored in the variable name. So it's showing up the whole thing. Okay. So this is just what they think your code should look like, but since I've been adding in random statements and stuff, my code is slightly different than this, but the gist of it is the same. I haven't added any comments here, but you can do that, and you can do that too if you want. You, or whatever you want. You can add in whatever comments you want. Then we're going to go to the next tab, which is to print a birthday banner with a border. Again, this uses just simple println statements. What is done is they've printed 3 statements. I'm going to not use any of this, and I'm just going to copy it here because it's just simple statements, and I'm not going to type it all again. And you should get it like we've been doing since the beginning. You should be able to see it on your screen if you run the code. Now the problem with this code is that the banner itself, this thing, the equal signs, it's pretty tedious to type all of them in, and it takes a lot of time, and often your calculation could go wrong. Maybe you typed in like 10 equals in the top statement, in the bottom statement you miscalculated and you typed in 11, and that can be an issue. So to resolve that issue, what we're going to do is we're going to create another function. Now, I've told you in the beginning that the main function is the first function and the only function that Kotlin calls in the beginning. That's the entry point into the program. So what we can do is we can divide our code into several functions. Every function has its own specific purpose, because if you know programming, then you know that usually what we do is we group uh, program statements that perform one task into one function because it's easier for us to organize. And what we can do is right now we can create another function that will print this line, and it will print it, and we can call that function into our main function. And please note that if you do not call a function into your main function, that function does not run because as I've said before, the main function is the function that Kotlin will run. So you have to call in all additional functions. We're going to use the same syntax that we use. We're going to use fun. We're going to use an identifier for the function. It can be anything. Usually a function name describes what the function does. And you've seen that you can see that the name of the function is print border because we're printing that equal sign statement, the border. And what we're doing here is the first letter of print is lowercase and the border is uppercase. This is called camel case notation, where every word that you write has the first letter capital. And this is traditionally a good practice. It's not necessary, but it's good practice. It's not part of the syntax itself. Then we're going to use round brackets to signify that this is a function, and we're going to use curly brackets. Again, this is the must. If you do not abide by any of these rules, your program will show up with errors. Apart from the rule about camel case, that's not exactly a rule with the programming language itself. It's just a norm within the programming community. Now, what we're going to do is this statement, we're going to take it and we're going to print it inside the function print border. And I said that we're going to call it into our main function. What that means is we're going to write the name of the function in our program where we want the border to print, the name, and the round brackets. What this does is, once this has been executed, once we have run these program statements, and when it comes to this, the program control shifts to this function, executes whatever is within this function, and then it comes to the next line, which is this. If I run this, you should be able to see this. Now I can also call in a function multiple times within a program. And it runs. This is using functions is helpful when you're reusing a block of code multiple times within a program. Okay, a really fun loop that we're going to learn is the repeat loop. What the repeat loop is instead of printing the entire, as I said before, if you miscalculate the number of equals and if you mess up your banner, that can cause issues. So instead of printing each equal sign, what we're going to do is we're going to use a repeat loop. And as the name suggests, what a repeat loop will do is, hold on, let me just give you let me show you the syntax so you can get a better understanding of it. You will write repeat, round brackets, and curly brackets. Now, whatever you write inside these curly brackets of the loop itself will be executed the number of times that you write in these round brackets. So if I write 2 here, whatever I write here, let's say I want to write 22, just something random. What this will do is it will print 22 twice. So we call the print border function twice in the program, and it's called once here. It will run this twice, and then again to print this statement, and it will run it again twice. So we can use this for our birthday program, birthday banner. What we can do is we can write equal sign here, and we can tell it to repeat it, say 15 times. Now, can you see what the problem is? Why the equal signs are not being printed out in a straight line? Can anyone tell me why we're having that issue?
Use print ln.
Yes, exactly. What println does is, again, as I've explained, is it prints whatever is within these quotation marks, and then it shifts the cursor to the next line. If I use print here, that would solve our problems. But again, we're still having another problem, which is that after print, it does not shift to the next line. So once the 15th equal is printed, it does not shift the cursor to the next line. And this statement, which is happy birthday Chansey, I'm going to take that out, will be printed on the same line as the starting of the banner. This is because the print does not shift control to the next line. So to solve that, after the repeat loop, we're going to add a print ln, and it's going to be empty because we just want it to shift to the control to the next line. And then it should work. Now this print ln will not run 15 times. It will just run once after this repeat loop has run. So then you should get your border. Okay, now, are you guys with me? I'm going to go to the next step now.
Yes.
Now, I talked about arguments in the first lab. I said that you could use these round brackets to pass arguments. Now, what arguments is if we're using multiple functions within a program, here I'm using main and print border. What I can do is I can declare a variable in main, and I can pass it and to print border. So I'll be sending that variable, and whatever is in that variable, I'll be telling print border that this variable exists and that you can use it within print border as well. Usually you cannot access variables in one function in another function, but the only way to do that is to pass it as an argument. So here what they're saying is that if you wanted to change what the border was, you could just pass it within that, you could pass it as an argument. So uh, I'm going to declare a variable a. It's just random. Usually you should name variables to what they intend to do, to what their purpose is, but I'm just going to create a random variable a, and the value that I'm going to give it is the hash sign. Now I'm going to pass it to print border, and I'm going to use it in place of this equal sign. So in order to pass it to print border, what I will do is I will write down the variable name within the round brackets, and I'm going to run it. And I've run it, and the issue that we're having is that there are too many arguments for the print border function. Now the reason that this error is showing up is because when we defined the function print border, when we told our program what print border does, we did not tell it that print border might be able to accept arguments. This is something that you have to define. You have to tell your program that this function will accept this argument or this many arguments. It's saying too many arguments because we haven't defined any. So it won't even take one. So what we have to do is we take the so what we have to do is we take the uh, variable name, which is a. We write colon and we write the type of the variable, which is string. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay. So what I've done is that I've passed this variable to a, and I've told it that this is going to be a string. Now this should show up, and it says that parameter a is never used because in a program itself we're not using a anywhere. It still says print. This program is run. It will run correctly. It isn't having any issues, but we're still not using the variable that we've passed. So what we're going to do is, instead of print double quote and in the quotation marks equal, we're just going to write a. Please note that when you're printing just a variable, you don't have to use quotation marks. If you use quotation marks, it will be printed as a string, as a sentence. It will be printed exactly as it is. So you don't use quotation marks with variables. You can see that if I do use quotation marks, it will be printed as a and not as the variable a. Passing arguments is helpful usually when you're taking input from the user in real time. You can use that, whatever value the user has entered, you can use that. You can pass it towards functions and within functions. You can also use more than one argument in a function. Uh, let's have a break of 5 minutes. I think I've been going pretty fast. So let's have a 5-minute break, okay?
Sir, I have a question.
ये सुमेर आपका क्वेश्चन है कोई?
Yes.
जी बोले।
Can we use Kotlin Playground for Android development, or we should install Android Studio for that?
आई थिंक सारा इसको सही एक्सप्लेन कर पाएंगे।
If you allow me,
So,
मैं इसका आंसर कर दूं।
all right. Okay, Shahzeb, you can.
अच्छा, ये जो कोटलिन प्लेग्राउंड है ना, उस पे हम पूरी एप्लीकेशंस डेवलप नहीं कर सकते। वो सिर्फ कोटलिन की बेसिक्स को, जो कंसोल पर हम आउटपुट्स लेते हैं, जैसे हम प्रिंट कर रहे हैं अभी स्क्रीन पे, उस पे सिर्फ कोटलिन लैंग्वेज की बेसिक्स को अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए वो हम यूज़ कर सकते हैं। जो डेवलपमेंट है ना, उसके लिए हमें प्रॉपर एक आईडीई ज़रूर इंस्टॉल करनी पड़ेगी, और वो है एंड्रॉयड स्टूडियो। उसके बगैर हम प्रॉपर ऐप डेवलपमेंट नहीं कर सकते।
Okay, thank you, Shazad.
Okay, I'm back and we're going to resume the lab now. I hope Humair, your question has been answered.
Yeah.
Okay, we did the repeat loop, we did passing arguments, and now you can pass multiple arguments to a function. What you can do is you can pass, for example, let's say uh, I'm not going to I'm not going to do this exact code. I'm just going to tell you how you can pass functions. So what you can do is you can pass this name to it, and how you can do it is you just write the variable name with a comma in the call statement, okay? And again here you can write the variable name, define that it is a string. You have to tell what the type of the variable is. We'll get the same, not error, just like a sort of memo that you were not using this variable anywhere. I'm just going to add that here. You can pass other data types too. This is being printed again. This is being printed in the same line. I'm just doing this because this is like easier to demonstrate, but you shouldn't do this. What you can do is you can pass different data types as well. It doesn't have to be a string. It could be an integer. It could be anything. Here you can see in this code, what they've passed is they've passed times to repeat. How you can do that is uh, declare another variable, call it repeat times, give it a value. We're repeating this 15 times, right? So give it 15. Pass it to your function. Again, tell your function print border what the type of variable you're passing is. Here it's an integer, so I'm going to write int, which is integer. And here in the repeat block, instead of saying 15, I'm just going to tell it repeat times. And it'll print out the same exact output as we were doing before. In the fifth part, we create a cake with layers and candles. Here we'll be using repeat and we will print all of this out. We'll make several functions in this section. So what we're going to do is the first section of the program will be, let's look at this cake first. So you have the cake, the layers at the bottom, you have the cake top, and you have the candles at the very top. So we're going to print that one by one. We're going to declare 3 functions. The first one is going to be cake candles, the next one is going to be cake top, and the third one is going to be cake bottom. So cake candles, cake top, and then we have cake layers. We're going to do the same thing we did with the banner, and we're not going to print everything individually. We're going to use the repeat block. So here what we've done is when we want give me a second. When we want when we want to place candles on a cake, the first thing we do, we make sure that the number of candles is the same as someone's age, right? So we'll need the age variable in the cake candles part, because we're going to make sure that the number of candles the same as the age. So I'm going to delete this because we the years again. And then we're going to write down our code. We're going to print the candles age number of times. And what we're going to print is the flame at the top, which is this. Let's use a comma for it. Then we're going to write print ln. It's going to be an empty statement. Then we're going to write another repeat loop, and we're also going to pass age into it. But here we're going to print this. Okay, so this is what our candle should look like. So the flame at the top, and then the candle itself, and then print ln, so that whatever we write next is shifted onto the next line. Since we haven't called this function in the program, it won't exactly run. I told you before that functions that you don't call in main program are never executed. So I've called cake candles here, and I'm going to pass age to it. And then it should print the candles. Now I'm going to add a print statement here, and in this print statement I'm going to give it one space so that our candles are printed like one space after this. I'm going to add one here as well. So there's a space between where the output screen starts and the candles itself. Next, we're going to print the cake top. The cake top, let's just print like the equal banner thing that we did in the last one, the equal sign that we use for banners. So again, we're going to use repeat. We're going to print it. Another thing is that the candles should look like they're set in the middle of the cake. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass age to cake top. And we're going to say that repeat this block repeat this part of the code age plus 2 times, so that whenever our uh, cake top is printed, it starts here. So it starts from here and it prints like one more character than the candle itself. We're going to call this in our program in a main function, and we're going to pass age to it, and you should get this. So there's some spacing here and here, so it looks good. Then with cake layers, what we're going to do is we're going to do what is called a nested loop. So a nested loop is a loop within a loop. And with cake layers, again, we're going to pass age to it, because we're going to create it in the same way that we did cake top. But the only difference is that with cake layers, we're going to print it like a bunch of times. I'm going to make another variable here, which is a number of layers. I'm going to say, let's say 5 layers, and I'm also going to pass it to my cake layers function. Now I'm going to do what is called a nested loop. So I'm going to say that repeat the block code, the code within this loop, a number of layers time. And I'm going to create another repeat loop, and I'm going to say that repeat this age plus 2 times. Now, this inner block, this inner loop is the same thing we did with cake top. I'm going to say print, let's go with this sign. Let's go with the @ sign. This outer loop, when it does it, it will repeat this loop the number of times as the number of layers. So the first time that this is run, it will repeat, it will print this @ sign age plus 2 times, and then it will repeat however times that, whatever the number of layers are. So the layers are 5, so it should run 5 times. We're going to run this. Oh, wait, hold on. I haven't called it within the program itself. I am going to pass age and number of layers to it, and I'm going to run it. The problem that we're getting is this is all being printed on one line. We can stop that from happening if we introduce a empty println with cake top, and then an empty println after the inner repeat loop. So we've got a cake now. This is all of that. This is whatever you're going to do within that. This is the solution code. This is the code that you should get once you're done with all of the steps that I've demonstrated. Now this is just telling you that if your Kotlin playground doesn't work, you should reload your page. You should like refresh it and stuff. So what we've learned in this specific lab is that how you can how you can use the value within variables and in println statements. What strings are? Strings are basically text surrounded by quotes. What int is, which is just a keyword for integer. How to declare variables, what functions are, how you can use functions, and what nested loops are. I hope you understand that concept as well. We've learned what the repeat loop as well is. Now this is just the end of the lab. The links at the end of the lab are just things that you can access if you want to learn more about the concepts used in the lab. or if you want to learn about Kotlin syntax. This vocabulary for Android basics in Kotlin should take you to that.
I have a question.
Yes, you can ask that.
Can you repeat the nested loops, please?
Yeah, sure. So nested loops are loops within loops. I'm just going to explain it from here, okay? So what nested loops are, they're loops within loops. So in this example specifically, what this will do is it will repeat the first repeat loop. What it will do is it will repeat the you know what a repeat loop does, right? It repeats whatever is within the curly brackets a set number of times. But with nested loops is we place loops within loops, and what's happening here is when the repeat loop, this outer repeat loop runs the first time, it will run this inner repeat loop, but it won't run it just once. It will run it however times we've mentioned, and then again it will do it however times we've mentioned here. Does that clear your question, or should I go again? I don't think it did.
Yes.
Okay. तो इसमें बेसिकली ये हो रहा है कि जो with repeat loops it's harder to explain because they both do the same thing. If you were using different loops, this would be easier to explain. But अगर हम सिर्फ यहाँ पे ना लेट्स से हम सिर्फ ना वो यूज कर लेते हैं, हम डायरेक्ट नंबर्स यूज करते हैं ना, फिर आई थिंक इजी हो जाएगा एक्सप्लेन करना. इस लूप को हम कहते हैं कि रन 5 टाइम्स और इसको हम कहते हैं रन 20 टाइम्स. अच्छा, अब इसमें क्या होगा कि जो अंदर जब आपका पहली दफा इधर आएगा ना, आपका प्रोग्राम रन कर रहा है ऐसे, तो पहले ये लाइन जब ये लूप एग्जीक्यूट होगा ना, तो आपको पता है दिस विल रन 5 टाइम्स. ठीक है, पहली दफा जब ये रन होगा तो ये इनर वाला लूप तो वो इस लूप पे आएगा. ठीक है, पहली दफा, और इसमें हमने कहा 20 टाइम्स, तो दिस विल रन 20 टाइम्स, और फिर वो इस लाइन पे आएगा, इट विल लीव अ लाइन. इवन दो ये अंदर वाला लूप 20 टाइम्स चल चुका है और ये भी एक दफा एग्जीक्यूट हो चुका है, लेकिन ये जो आउटर लूप है कि एक दफा एग्जीक्यूट हुआ है सिर्फ. सही है, तो इसने 5 टाइम्स एग्जीक्यूट होना है, और जितनी दफा ये एग्जीक्यूट होगा इसके अंदर जो है वो उतनी दफा ही एग्जीक्यूट होगा. नेस्टेड लूप्स हम यूजली तब यूज करते हैं जैसा हमने यहाँ पे किया है कि हम इसको अपने प्रोग्राम को इजी बना रहे हैं ना. अगर हम ये रिपीट यूज करें, हमें ये वाला जो प्रोग्राम स्टेटमेंट चाहिए हमें 5 दफा लिखनी पड़ती. तो नेस्टेड लूप से हम काफी आसान हो जाता है. हम लूप्स को विद इन लूप्स इंट्रोड्यूस करा देते हैं, और इसमें जो है ना वो मतलब बेसिकली हमें काम आसान हो जाता है. और रिपीट लूप्स में स्पेसिफिकली जो है ना हमें वो चीज बार बार नहीं करनी पड़ती, क्योंकि हमें पता है ना कि हमने ये प्रोग्राम स्टेटमेंट्स इतनी दफा ही रन करनी है. आई थिंक आपको मैंने क्लियर कर दिया. अगर आपको इशू है तो कोई फैसिलिटेटर आंसर कर दे अगर मेरी एक्सप्लेनेशन आपको समझ नहीं आ रही तो.
नहीं समझ आ गया.
आर यू श्योर आपको समझ आ गई है?
Yes.
ओके गुड, ठीक है फिर. तो दैट वाज द सेकंड लैब. उसके बाद भी आपको एक मिल जाएगा, एक बैज मिल जाएगा, वो भी आपके प्रोफाइल में ऐड हो जाएगा. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू डू अ क्विज. इस क्विज के बाद भी आपको बैज मिलेगा, और ये जो सारे बैजेस आपको मिलेंगे इससे इट विल स्पेसिफाई कि आपकी प्रोग्रेस कहाँ तक गई है. सो कैन यू गाइज आंसर दीज क्वेश्चंस फॉर मी? लेट्स गो विद द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन. ओके, सबको नजर आ रही है स्क्रीन?
Yes.
Yes.
ओके, लेट्स गो विद द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन. अब आप अपने माइक्स अनम्यूट कर सकते हैं. अब आप क्योंकि मैं बार बार मीटिंग चैट अब नहीं खोल सकती, अब मैं ये क्विज आपको स्क्रीन पर नजर आ रहा है, माइक्स अनम्यूट करके आंसर कर सकते हैं. द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट इज अ प्रोग्राम. नजर आ रही है स्क्रीन, तो आप आंसर कर सकते हैं.
इसका थर्ड ऑप्शन है a series of instructions
Series of
that a computer
instructions.
system executes to accomplish some actions.
Okay, great. Second question is which keyword do we use to define a function?
FUN.
Okay, great. This is ये जो third question है. It's what of the following things are needed in a Kotlin program. अब इसमें these are check boxes, so you can tell me कि इसमें से कौन से मैं check करूँ. It could be all of them. It could be only one.
Call to print or println.
Okay. इसके अलावा भी कोई हो सकते हैं. So अगर इसके अलावा भी आपको लग रहा है कि कोई इनमें से मुझे चेक करना चाहिए, तो मल्टीपल भी इनमें से ठीक हो सकती हैं ऑप्शंस. Yeah. और इसके अलावा
Now there is
A piece
there's
of
a
text
confusion in this.
surrounded by
Is it
quotation marks.
okay.
Can I say something? Am I audible?
Yeah, हाँ जी.
And now there are two things. In the first comment, it is mentioned as a comment, right? So now comments are not mandatory for it. Do we have to actually write that or not? Because in like in the conventional coding style, it is important to mention whatever you're doing, but necessarily it is not important to comment a line about a function. So should we
Right.
check it or not?
Right, I get what you're saying. Comments are not necessary. They're not needed. They're just for understanding. तो अगर आप comments नहीं भी लिखते, because necessary वो चीजें होती हैं that affect your program. Comments do not affect your
That's
program.
should we check it or not? Because it is still a convention, but it's not mandatory.
आपका क्या ख्याल है? बाद में quiz में वो हमें बताएंगे whether our answer is correct or not. So what do you think? We can test it out.
If it says it should be only only the mandatory thing should be checked, then we should not check it. But
Okay, so okay, I'm not.
Can we select one or more options?
Sorry?
Can we select at a time one more options?
Yeah, I said you can select as many as you want. You can select all of them if you want. So is that all? Or should I select any of the other two?
No, the third we select are correct.
Okay, so I'm not going to select this. We're going to see if that theory is correct or not. The fourth one is this is a Kotlin code. Can anyone tell me what it will do?
It prints the two lines. The second one. Second option.
Okay. This is the fifth one. I'm not telling you whether this is correct or not because you'll get your answers at the end and we can check if this is okay. Okay. So the fifth one is this is a main function. We want to modify it so that it prints a 6-layer cake and for someone's 4th birthday. So age would be 4 and then layers would be 6. So which of these options is correct, like syntax wise? बाकी तो मैंने आपको बता दिया.
The second last one. The one with the integer value.
This one?
Yes.
Okay. There's a sixth question, which is which of the following call statements is the correct one? So this is the function. This is the create message function. It has 3 arguments being passed to it, a name, which is a string, location, which is also a string, and age, which is an integer. So which of the following options should be correct?
All?
No, the first one.
No.
The first one?
Yes.
Okay. Once you complete this quiz, you will get a badge. It will tell you, it will automatically be added. So, like this. All of our answers were correct, and yes, whoever said that comments are not necessary was correct. Okay, so that's all the demo that we're going to do today. Please remember that you should complete 5 units of this Android Basics in Kotlin program by 31st October. You have to complete, you'll get this badge too, okay? You have to complete, give me a second. Right, you have to complete the 5 units. The 6th one is not mandatory. You have to, and then you have to submit a pathway completion form. The deadline is 31st October for the form. So that means you have to do 5 units and then fill out the form. You cannot put off the form till the 1st of November. And then on 6th or 7th November, you can give the quiz, and if you score more than 80, you will get free stuff, which you should be pretty excited for, and I'm pretty excited for it too because my mug broke, as I mentioned before when Samia was asking. And then, yeah, you should. If you get 80%, you'll get all of this stuff. So I think if anyone has any questions, you can ask me now.
Okay, so what we have done is just one part of the first unit, right? We have not completed the first unit.
Yeah, we've only done one pathway. The first unit has 4 pathways.
Right. Okay.
You have to complete all of the pathways in the first 5 units. Any other questions?
All right, I think
Okay.
they don't have any questions.
Yes, so Samia Baji, you can take it from here.
All
Thank you
right, thank
everyone
you
for
so
sitting
much.
through that long demo.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah, for the amazing demonstration. Now I'll